There we go.
All right. What we're going to cover is some very basic, kind of a feet on the ground, starting to use TAP for a lot of the businesses, individuals. To get to that TAP, you're always going to start, and it's access also to our entire website, many resources, is you're going to use tax.idaho.gov, and that's a very good one to bookmark, because being in business and being in Idaho, you are going to use that a lot. What we'll cover today as far as TAP is what is TAP, registering for TAP and what the requirements are for you to be able to access and set yourself up on that, how to troubleshoot just a few of the basics. I've put together a few of our most common questions that come in on the call center, and being able to help you know where to look for those things, how to file and view your returns, how to make payments and find balances, and how to update payment channels using the Action Center and using what is called the More springboard. That's basically a lot of your resources compiled into one screen and not always used by a lot of folks. So when you do get to the home page of our website, you're going to see the button there towards the bottom that's going to say TAP. That's where you're going to go to set up. Now, some of the, having a touchy, there you go. Once you do get in there and you have a registration process, it's a bit lengthy. It's a two-step process and takes some time. But what you will be able to do once you do get your account set up is you're going to be able to e-file all of your, what we call permit-specific taxes. In your individuals, or in your sales and use, and your different business permits, you can file those returns. You can also pay for those reports at the same time online. What you cannot do in TAP is you won't apply for your permits in TAP. You'll apply and receive all of your permits prior to setting up for TAP. When you need to amend a return, you'll need to do that on the paper process as well. You won't be able to do that inside of TAP. Another thing is you are not able to file your income taxes, be it individual income taxes or be it business income taxes. Those have to be filed outside of TAP. There are several software programs that are approved and listed and available also on the website, but not through TAP. Once you click on that TAP button, this is the first screen you're going to see. This throws a lot of folks off because it tends to tell somebody that that they need to start a TAP account before they are even able to use any of the resources. That's not the case. What this top box is telling you is if you're an established TAP account, this is where you're going to log in, your username and password. If you're new to TAP, then you would do the new to e-service and sign up. So this is where you would start for your TAP account. However, if you see the boxes right below it, you're going to see property tax, refunds, payments, and the next slide shows some as well. These are resources that you're able to use outside of TAP. So you are able to do quite a few and access quite a few resources by not having a TAP account, but there are some major advantages to have a TAP account. And here's another screen, so you can see where there really is quite a few things that you can do outside of TAP. If you have any questions on them at the end, we're going to take a few minutes to do some questions and we can talk about those, but we'll kind of stick to the TAP for the most part on this session. So when you are wanting as a new registration to sign in for TAP and you put new to e-service sign up, these are the screens you're going to see. First thing you're going to see is it's going to ask you if you have a registration code. And you're going to tell it no, and it will click into this information. It'll ask if you're a business or an individual. If you are a business, it's going to ask you for your EIN number and then some basic information. The blue fields that you see there are going to be, they're all required, but the blue fields are what the system, our system on our end is going to verify. It's going to verify your EIN number, but it's also going to verify your zip code. It's looking for your location zip code. So once you have filled that out, it is going to send you a letter. Once you get that letter in the mail, that letter is going to have a registration code on it. And that's why I say you'll want to get that going as soon as you get your permits. Because of security, then it's a two-step process. It's going to mail you that letter, and when you get it, you're going to go right back into new to e-service, sign up, only this time, yes, I do have a registration code, and it will walk you through setup. Now, some of the things that folks come across when they're first trying to sign in is they'll get some of these errors. And when they do, it's not what, you know, it's very common errors or very common questions, but not knowing even what to look at or where, you know, where to go with it. So some of the most common are the EIN and the data don't match. I'm not getting my verification code. Big one is an employee leaves, we have a new employee, and now we need access for that new employee. I'm locked out, and I can't get in to file my returns. I filed a return, made a payment, and posted a wrong period. That's probably one of the most common, but I would say the most common is this one. They've tried to register, they say they're a business, they put in the correct EIN, the business name, and the zip code. Well, it'll tell you after you try 3 or 4 times, now you've tried too many times and you need to call in. I would say you're going to need to call in because, one, we want to verify your zip code. You've got to be using your location zip code, the EIN, and the business name. Now, it also doesn't like punctuation. So kind of a silly thing, we all with our EIN or social want to put in the 2 digits dash and the remaining, it's looking to auto-populate any punctuation. So we don't want periods or commas, that kind of thing. But once you call in and we can verify that information, generally it's the location zip code that's off. And so then we can verify those things. It will lock you out for an hour when it's a new registration, but if that's verified and we get everybody looking at the same information, then after an hour, it should walk you right through that. And these other questions or other call-ins that I referred to, I'm going to say that TAP is primarily supported by calling in. If you call in, anybody who answers the phone, and I realize sometimes the call hold time gets a little bit, you know, a little bit lengthy, but we also have an option on that call line for it to call you back. So take advantage of that, and somebody will call you back. When you get a message that you're not getting your verification code, generally it's going to be you have a new cell carrier, a new email, and this comes in a lot possibly with the new employee, then it has to be called in, but it is fixed very quickly, and then you can move on and get your reports filed. When you have an employee leave and they have the verification codes going to their email, they have the secret question lined up with them, and nobody can get into it. If you have the username and password, we can reset the verification code so that it will allow you to get in, and then you can update that information. And that way you can move on and not have to set up a new profile waiting for registration codes. Locked out and you can't get in, you'll get the same error that a new registration gets. With an established account, call in and we can unlock you. However, you do need username and password. So these three very common items that come up are solely supported by calling in. They are quick and they're easy, but you do need to give a call in. Those are things that cannot be fixed from your end. Now, filed and made a payment and it was the wrong period, also a call in, but can be corrected. I try to tell the taxpayer services reps, don't tell anyone to amend a return. As long as it can be corrected, let's correct it. And so when it needs amended, somebody will say, okay, we tried to correct it, but let's have you amend it. As long as it can be corrected, once something is in an amended status, it does take quite a little bit of time to get it processed through. So always call in and try to correct it with somebody on the phone before you automatically amend a return. And there are going to be times where we'll have you do that, but like for a withholding report, can be corrected. We don't need paper amendments on it. 850 reports for your sales and use, we can correct it. Right now, we are amending with the paper return process. I have spoken with someone recently that there may be a process that we can start doing that we can get it corrected without the paper amendments. But right now, we're always trying to improve and make things a little bit smoother. And so if you do have feedback, we're always way open to listening to any feedback and trying to make things smoother and a little bit easier to use. And it's you as a taxpayer that we're trying to always do that. But the ones that I've just gone through are ones that we are solely supported, again, by calling in, and there's a phone number there. And use the callback feature. Well, our next one is we're going to take a look at how to file and view returns. Once you've gotten your account set up and you've gone back in and set up all your defaults, etc., you're going to see each one of your permits like this. You'll see a summary page and you'll see your sales and use and your withholdings, or if you only got the sales and use, that's the only one you see. As you add an account and an overnight sync, you'll see that on there as well. So you would hit that file and view returns. And this is what comes up. You've got your returns on the right-hand side there where it's going to list all your periods. The advantage to having your TAP account is you'll get your history here. You can, once you've registered, you can go back and say, well, I need to take a look at what I did in March or for the first quarter, second quarter, etc. So that's the advantage to having the TAP account. Now, if I were to click on the May for view return, you'll notice it looks a lot like your paper return, your voucher paper 850 return. The difference being you just clicked in 2 minutes on a return and you can put in all your numbers, all of your amounts, and it comes down and calculates your tax due for you, and you can make your payment and you're done. You don't have postage, you don't have the paper, you don't have the time lapse on getting something mailed in. It's submitted and it comes over that night. And they are actually working on where that will, what they call publish and come over right away. So another question, I think I skipped one here. I should have gone on to the payment first, and I apologize for that. But people will call in a lot and say, you know, it says I have a balance and I don't have any idea where that balance is coming from. If you had gone in to file and view returns, and instead of clicking on returns and had periods, then you click on periods, then it's going to bring those up. It's going to tell you what period that amount's coming from, and you know what, then you're able to look at it and say, oh, well, that's either one, that's my withholding amount, and in this case it was her withholding amount. You file it, or I'm sorry, her sales and use, but then didn't make a payment. So you're able to take a look at those and you can see a payment but no return, and you think, oh, okay, well, then I missed something. That saved you a call in that you were able to take a look at that and see for yourself, you know, that what period that was coming from, and did I make a payment or did I file a return? Not to ever keep you from calling in, because that's, you know, we're here to help you. But generally, when you see a payment outstanding that you don't know what it is, it'll come as an estimated payment assessment. Say you didn't file your return and you say, well, I didn't have anything to report. It was zeros. Well, once you have an active permit, you are required to file a return for each of your periods that you've been assigned. This one was a monthly. If you notice the monthly periods, some are quarterly, but if you, when you get your permits, then you'll see where you'll want to file a return, even if it is zeros. Okay, so this is one I was wanting with the file returns, is how to make a payment. Once you hit next and you've entered in all of your information for your sales and comes back with tax due, this is where it's going to take you, is to make your payment. You're also able to set up a default payment. We'll go into how to use the more bar and the action, but this is probably your easiest place to set up a payment default. But for your particular return that you just filed your numbers for, it brings you to this next screen, and it tells you, if you see the current balance was $37.32, it'll let you submit. Now you would either use the default that you have set up, or you would use, oh, we changed banks, or we're going to try using whatever account that you want to change it to. You can put in several accounts, but you'll have one default. So if you want to move away from that, then that's where you could do that. Or the same thing, a new one or the default, either one. If you, up at the top, if you push pay by credit card or pay by check, you can schedule your payments out in advance. Of course, you can do that either way, but for the most part, when you put in a default payment, it's not going to take a credit card. It's going to take your routing number and your checking number. So if you are wanting to use a credit card, then, and I believe, I could be speaking out of turn here, but I believe that your bank would charge you a fee to use that credit card. When you use a credit card or a debit card and tap on our side, we don't, through QuickPay, we have a processing fee. Through TAP, there is no processing fee there. But that's the easiest place to set up a payment. You are able to set it up other places, but on this next screen, on the Action Center, you're able to take a look. It'll tell you have unread messages, unread letters, or you have a balance due in one of your accounts. So that would probably be the last place you're going to see where your balance is due. You're going to see it on your front screen right away. So that one, I don't know, you're not going to probably act from this particular screen. It's going to tell you if you haven't acted, you probably better. But the only person who's going to be, you have a lot of folks call in and say, it says I have letters or messages, and I'm not seeing any. We have a few different levels of profile of users. There's a primary who is generally going to be CFO, office manager, etc. The primary manager is going to be the one who can see the letters and the messages. Me or you or someone who's an account user, you're coming in to do their withholding for them, etc., then you wouldn't be able to see those letters. You would be able to see that they're there, but they wouldn't come up. Okay, on the More screen, you see there's quite a bit of stuff. I had mentioned that this is where a lot of your resources for TAP. TAP has a lot to offer you as far as managing and maintaining your online accounts. A lot less paperwork to keep track of, and you have access to your history. We recommend that you get a TAP as soon as you receive your permits. You aren't able to get a TAP account until you do have those permits, because that's telling you that your EIN is in our system and your business is in our system. Now, if you were to call in and say, I filed my return and it's saying I have a balance, or I filed and paid my return, you could go in and you could hit search submissions. It's going to tell you your returns and it's going to tell you your payment. So if you see a return with no payment, you'll realize that you missed your payment, or check your bank. But that's a good place to see a return and a payment both at the same place. Your messages, again, you saw those in Action Center. So there's going to be a few places all the way through TAP where you're going to be able to see things. But this More, I think we probably spend more time going over to, on a call-in, going over here to More, to look for payments, look for returns, and be able to help a third party. Third party is a little different than a business owner or employee. When you're registering, it's going to ask you if you're an individual or a business owner or employee, or a third party. I would suggest a third party always sign up as a business owner or employee and set up their own account. And then when they do, they'll have this add access to another account. At this point is when you're going to become a third party. You'll see add access to another account when you have multiple locations, and one office manager, one CFO will start pulling in the accounts from the other stores or other locations. Other than that, you probably won't use that a lot. Manage access, you can add a secondary logon. If you want your employee to, you've hired somebody to do your sales and use, you want them to only have access to that account, you can add them on there. Names and addresses, I really suggest that you call in, because if you try to change a name or an address in here, and you can, it will come through and it'll say, please change my location address. Well, they'll change your location address for that one account that it came in on. And then it doesn't change your mailing address. It doesn't verify, well, are you wanting it changed for sales and use and withholding and auditorium, all of these different permits, or just this one. So it's a good thing when you're changing addresses and names, call in and let somebody ask some questions to know that it gets followed through and all of them get updated and addressed. But we do spend a lot of time over here in this particular area and are able to help you the most in helping you find you know, kind of what you're looking for. But there are a lot of things, like I said, TAP is one of those things that is primarily supported over the phone. It's just knowing that you're comfortable with it and saying, you know, hey, I found this balance, but I don't know how to get it corrected, and let us help you get it done. Are there any questions? I kind of went through that awful fast, and I apologize. No questions?
I don't see any yet.
Okay.
We'll give them a minute to type, though. Here we go.
Okay.
So Sam's asking, how long does it take for a payment to reflect on the account? It's a great question.
Well, it should reflect overnight. It should reflect on your TAP account overnight. If you enter, it does one sync at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we can catch and cancel or change a lot of that stuff before 4 o'clock. And then after 4 o'clock, it'll start, our system, which is called Gentex, will start pulling things over and syncing them. And then overnight, you should be able to at least see it processing pending. And then the payment should match up with the account. That's where it takes a little bit of time, is it'll show in your TAP account, but sometimes it takes a few days to go from pending to processed over in accounting.
Anybody else?
If you do have any questions that come up on your, you know, as your email into the tax training, if you request a copy of the PDF, and then Steve can get those over to me as well.
Sure. Well, let's tell you what, if you do run into any questions, go ahead and shoot me an email. You have the email address. It's taxtraining@tax.idaho.gov. Additionally, there are a lot of other ways to get in touch with us. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. I will always call it Twitter. We're on Instagram, for some reason I am unsure of. We're also in LinkedIn. I do know that when we have job openings, we post them in LinkedIn as well. So if you know somebody who's looking for an opportunity to work with the state, I will say, as someone who worked in corporate America before this is a great place to work. We're in LinkedIn. Additionally, we're in on YouTube. I post a lot of videos out on YouTube. I will post this once I have it processed. Like I said, probably sometime next week. It will be out on YouTube as well, so you can reflect and watch it again if you want to. Additionally, we have people like Janet who are able to answer calls for you. In the Boise area, our phone number is 208-334-7660, or toll free if you're not in the Boise area at 1-800-972-7660. And then we have our website, which Dan's already covered. That's where the main library for support and help is. It's tax.idaho.gov. And then we currently have a fax machine. It's 208-334-7846. And then if you'd like to send us an email, or you'd like more information about how to get a hold of us or how to get some assistance, if you go to tax.idaho.gov and click where it says Contact Us, I have it circled in red there. There's going to be basically 3 sections to this page. The first part is Contact Us, where you can go directly to help about your specific question. So if you want to check a refund status, you can click there, and it'll take you straight to the refund status check. Or if you have setup or access questions about TAP, you can click there, or an IBR, or what have you. You'll also notice on the left side it has office hours and locations. We have field offices throughout the state of Idaho. So we have one in Coeur d'Alene, we have one in Lewiston, we have one in Idaho Falls, Pocatello, and Twin Falls, as well as Boise here. They all have individual different hours, and the phone numbers are listed there. So if you're in a different region and you want to talk to us, you can see if there's a field office that's close to you. If we scroll down from here, we'll see where it says Submit a Question. This is where you can send an email to us. This has been changed so that there are individual buckets. So if you have a question about IFTA, you can click on the IFTA box, type in your question. please provide as much detail as you can so when the agent gets the question, they can start working on it right away. And it'll go straight to the people who answer IFTA. If you have a question about liens, you can type on liens and go straight to the people who answer those questions. So it should expedite a response for you. And then the bottom half of that page, or bottom third, I guess, math, is the phone numbers again, so how to get a hold of us. Well, I hope this was beneficial. We went through it a little quick, but if you have any questions, now's a good time to ask those. Otherwise, I thank you for attending. We do a lot of these throughout the month, and I post every one of them that I schedule is going to be on Eventbrite, where you can sign up for them for free. And if you'd like to sign up for another one, I think the 30th I have one for filling out the Idaho Business Registration form. That one's pretty popular. And then what else we got? We have some others later, but yeah, those are the next two there. So the Tap Today and the IBR on the 30th. Well, thank you. I hope this was informative. I am actually going to stop the recording now.